Welcome back to the Ed Show. The proof is in the polling at this hour. There is more evidence tonight. The public option is what the American people want. Our new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll shows this. 72% say it's extremely or quite important to have a choice of a public plan in health care reform. Democrats just want you to have a choice. The American people like choices. It's kind of this freedom thing. And the American people like action as well. When asked if it's better to pass health care plan or just keep the status quo, 45% say it's better to pass a plan. 39% say it's better to keep the current system. What planet are they on? There is no question this issue is going to affect races all over the country, and that's what I like about the opt-out. Now, in the press conference yesterday, I thought it was a masterful performance by Harry Reid. Very cool, very calm, very collected, and to the point. He's basically telling the American people, we're going to do this in the Senate. We're going to have a public option. And in 2014, after 1 year of the public option, you can decide on a local level with your state legislature or your assembly or your house, however your local government works, you can decide whether you like it or not. And if you don't like it, you can opt out. You can get out of it. Now, think about this. People with a pre-existing condition that can't get insurance get into the public option. And a year after having it, they're going to have it taken away from them? You mean to tell me that conservatives are willing to go face-to-face with people with a pre-existing condition who have never had insurance, finally get it, and they're going to go to them and stand up in front of them on the stump and say, you know what, I want to take away your insurance? This is a great move by the Democrats. And I think now, for the Republicans, it's going to put them in a very awkward position. We know where they are. We know where they are. This is calling out Ben Nelson, Mary Landrieu, Kent Conrad, Max Baucus, Mark Pryor, Blanche Lincoln. It's calling out senators who are kind of really not too sure about this public option thing or not. Okay, let's have the vote in Arkansas. Let's have the vote in Nebraska. Let's have this vote in North Dakota. I can tell you, the culture in North Dakota, once you get it to them, they don't want to give it up. That's the way it's going to be. And so I think this is a great move by Harry Reid to put it in this way. The public option is a public option. And it is the first step towards single payer. That's what we progressives want. This is just taking the road to get there. It's the first step to reform. And I think that we, you and I, progressives, liberals, we have to view this as a generational effort, a generational shift in thinking that we know where the country wants to go with this. The conservatives had 8 years to do something about health care, and they butchered the middle class. They outsourced jobs. They didn't do anything for the middle class other than depress wages, attack labor, and say, no, go get a health care savings account. Do we want to go back to that? Joe Lieberman, what has happened to you in the last 9 years? You're not the same guy. Whose side are you on? Give it to Barack Obama. He wants the public option. He wants the private sector to have some kind of competition. But you're standing in the way. And Ben Nelson, you got a habit of standing in the way. You stood in the way for the Bush tax cuts and you butchered the economy on that. Don't make another mistake. I bet the folks in Nebraska are going to make a change if he doesn't come to reckoning on this. For more, let's bring in our panel. I could be wrong, but I know I'm not. This is Stephanie Miller, host of the Stephanie Miller Show, with us tonight. Also, Sam Stein, political reporter for the Huffington Post, and Michael Graham, radio talk show host, WTKK Radio in Boston. Michael, I'll start with you. Are you taking Joe Lieberman out to lunch tomorrow? Because he right now is your best friend, buddy.
Well, he's not my only best friend. You mentioned those moderate Democrats are very good, but I will tell you, everybody outside of Massachusetts who isn't stuck with our crappy universal care, Obama 1.0 system should be taking Senator Lieberman out. If he can save them from the fiscal disaster this has been, in less than 3 years, it's already $700 million over budget. And what are people doing?
Well, let me ask you about that.
Sure.
We had a discussion on this on the radio show about this today.
Right.
Why haven't the people of Massachusetts decided to get rid of it? Why do you still have it if it's so bad?
Because as you just pointed out, when you give people stuff, they don't like giving it up.
Oh, so it is about the money. It's not about the people.
Exactly. A bunch of young people have figured out that they can pay the fee for not having insurance. Then if they get sick, they have to be opted in. They buy coverage. They hold the coverage for 3 months, get treatment, and drop it again.
Well,
and get stuff in the tab.
I commend Massachusetts for doing this, because if they had everybody on a mandate to pay something in on a national level, we wouldn't have that problem. Stephanie Miller, what should the Democrats do with Joe Lieberman?
Oh, man, Ed, you said it exactly right. I mean, you got to look at the bottom line here. It's not just, 70-something% of the American people want a public option. People in Connecticut want a public option, Ed. And look at the bottom line. Joe Lieberman is funded by insurance companies. So either he's going to side with the insurance companies or he's going to side with the people of Connecticut.
All right, how is this going to play out locally? Sam Stein in Virginia right now. Big race next Tuesday night. The Democratic candidates behind. The president was stumping for him today in Virginia. Is health care and where the Democrats stand on this, I would think that would be an asset to the Democratic candidate. Why isn't it? He's behind in the polls.
Virginia is a tough place to make that case study. I know in New Jersey, Governor John Corzine has firmly come out and said he wants a public option. If he was given the chance to opt out, he wouldn't do it. Craig Deeds has been a bit more hesitant on that. He actually suggested he would opt out. So Virginia is an interesting place. But I think you look at all these public opinion polls, when they're done in blue dog districts, when they're done in sort of swing state districts like Nebraska, like North Dakota, as you mentioned, the public option is actually quite popular. There's a misconception that it doesn't poll well among conservative-leaning districts. That's just not true, and you see it in the NBC Wall Street Journal poll.
Ed?
Yes, go ahead.
Did you look at the Wall Street Journal NBC poll? Then the specific question, do you support a public option? It's still below 50%. The last
but
three
it's 6
major
percentage
polls,
points higher than not opposed.
Yeah, but
so
it's still
below
below 50%. You're giving away free money, and you can't get it above 50%. Now, Virginia, I used to live in Virginia, Richmond, and Northern Virginia. Their problem is Craig Deeds is a lousy candidate, which is why the Obama folks threw him under the bus already over the weekend in the Washington Post. But he's not getting help from President Obama. In fact, President Obama is here in Massachusetts for our governor, Deval Patrick. They couldn't sell out the fundraiser. They had empty seats at a fundraiser with the president. Who would have believed if I had said in February of this year that Barack Obama in Massachusetts couldn't sell out a fundraiser for Deval Patrick? That's how far his fortunes have fallen.
Stephanie, what about that?
Well, Ed, I think as the president said last week, I guess, he's been in office 9 months and he hasn't solved world hunger yet. So, I mean, are you kidding me? Like, he's supposed to affect the outcome of every single race, and that's the barometer. I'm sorry, Ed, they're scared of exactly what you're saying, the opt-out. You know what? Go ahead. It's going to create like a test case for every state, and you're going to see how well it works, and that's what they're scared of.
See, Sam
They're going to have to opt out and explain to the people in their state why.
Yeah, Sam Stein, I think that this could have a real effect in these 37 gubernatorial races. It may not play in this one in Virginia, but when you have something for people and you get a successful outcome, and the media is going to be out there doing stories, the Joneses never had insurance before until the public option. Do you want to take? I mean, you could just see the 30-second commercials playing in campaigns coming up. I mean, it would seem that would be a real boost, and I think it's a political marvel on the part of Harry Reid to put it that way.
Sure, yeah. I mean, in 2010, obviously, it's going to be different because at that point, you will not have a public option system in place. But when you get down the road, it's going to become a litmus test for primary campaigns, but also general election campaigns on the state level. One quick point of clarification on Joe Lieberman. I hate to go back there, but
sure.
His whole shtick here was that this is going to end up costing the government money because it's another entitlement program. His rationale is just totally fundamentally wrong. A, it's not an entitlement program because it's going to be operated off of premiums by participants. And B, every CBO scoring of the public option has said that it saves money. So I think his objections to the system...
that is right, Michael.
Over $100 billion in CBO. That is when you tie it to Medicare plus 5. If you do it to negotiated rates, it goes down to $25 billion. I'll show you the numbers. So Lieberman's rationale is wrong, and I think it's going to fold under actual evidence and policy discussion.
Michael Graham, I'm looking for the folks in Massachusetts to vote down that plan they got right now. Sounds to me like they like it. And
they love it.
Well, it's a democracy. Why aren't they voting it down? Where's the protest?
Look, I'm with you. I wish the voters of Massachusetts weren't so loyal, knee-jerk Democrats who will take anything Democrats do.
The fact
but
is
they hate
like
the
it.
math.
The fact
They're paying the bill. We're broke.
The fact is they like it. That is the bottom line. Folks, thanks for joining us tonight. Terry McAuliffe hopefully is going to be joining us later. Coming up, what a weekend.